Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another exciting episode of Trigger Warning Radio. I am your host, the Kaiju Conservative, and today, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday, March 14th, saw the nationwide walkout of students from all over the country in support of gun control. Of course, this has been labeled as a protest against gun violence and an effort to get the government to finally do something to protect the children from all these vicious, horrible guns that are walking into schools and shooting up the places. And, of course, if you oppose any aspect of this gun walkout, of this protest, you are a horrible person. You are for the killing of children, and how dare you play politics with the lives of the nation's children. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, the goal of the March for Our Lives event that took place on Wednesday is not making schools safer. It's not saving children's lives. It's to get guns out of the hands of Americans. That's why you have all of these locations and states enacting these gun laws where, you know, the age of ownership for firearms has now been raised to 21 in some states. Florida, Rick Scott, the gun grabber in chief in this state, he went ahead and signed into law a very restrictive gun law that not only raised the age limit to purchase a gun to 21, but allows for gun confiscation. And there's other states that are going even harsher than that. Illinois is considering a law that would actually require anybody under 21 to turn in their weapons or transfer ownership of their weapons, which, you know, is exactly what those of us on the right have been saying. You know, the left wants to take your guns. They want to take your rights away. Why? So they can control you. Again, I'm not telling you folks anything you don't already know. This is basic stuff for anybody who has paid any sort of attention to American politics. That's why with this whole gun control quote-unquote conversation after the Parkland shooting, you've had opposing voices drowned out. Ladies and gentlemen, we had David Hogg and his ilk over in Parkland. They were shoved in front of the cameras almost from day one. They've been crowing about how we need gun control and how anybody who isn't for gun control is really for the murder of children. They've tried demonizing the NRA, which has actually served the opposite purpose. The NRA is now seeing a boon in memberships, especially with the younger crowd as well. And we saw that disastrous CNN town hall where Senator Marco Rubio and Dana Lash were essentially, you know, tarred and feathered in a public arena for Marco Rubio's case, not being harsh enough on guns, and in Dana Lash's case, for daring to associate herself with the NRA, an organization that, according to the left, supports the killing of children, which is kind of ironic that they're against the killing of children when they're so gung-ho about Planned Parenthood. But you won't see that conversation happening anytime soon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how do we know that this big walkout was? How do we know that's another tool used by the left to make gun control acceptable? Well, look at who's sponsoring the event, folks. A lot of left-wing groups were in on this nationwide event. The Women's March, for one, which of course is headed by Linda Sarsour, which is a leftist, anti-Semite, sexual harassment and assault enabler, you know, that sort of thing. She's behind a lot of this. You had Michael Bloomberg's group, his anti-gun group. They've been behind quite a bit of it. So you have all of these. There's a whole host of other leftist groups behind it as well, and you have all of these groups coming together with this nationwide event where these children are walking out in protest, and you have them coming together in an effort to make it look like this is the children's idea that, like, this is organized by the students. They are in charge of this event. It's the students that have decided that enough is enough. And that's just not the case, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, going back to the Parkland survivors that have been crowing about gun control, you have interviews that they do with CNN where it I've pointed this out, many others have pointed it out, but it really does seem like they're reading prepared scripts. They're reading lines for the cameras on CNN. And you have these students that are in a lot of cases are being forced to walk out in protest. A lot of school districts across the country wholeheartedly endorsed this walkout event. They not only endorsed it, they encouraged its participation. They allowed for students to walk out. And again, that's all to create the impression that this is a spontaneous event, that this is a grassroots effort in order to get America talking about gun control. And that's just not the case here, ladies and gentlemen. If the left was really interested in a conversation on school safety, in a conversation on gun control, they would listen to the suggestions that myself and many on the right have come up with. Arming staff and teachers in schools, increasing school security, hardening the targets. Because let's face it, schools, President Trump is right. Schools are like a smorgasbord for mass shooters. They know that they will not be opposed when they walk into a school. And that's part of the reason, I think, why we see so many school shootings here in this country, ladies and gentlemen, because there's no consequence. And if the left was truly honest about wanting a conversation, they would listen to us when we point that out, when we point out the fact that 90% of all mass shootings in this country have happened in gun-free zones like schools. But of course, they're not interested in that, ladies and gentlemen. You have students from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School itself coming out and saying, we need to look at all options here. Kyle Kashuv, for example. I did a story on him a couple of podcast episodes ago. But Kyle Kashuv, he's one of the Parkland students who is actually a moderate voice in the gun debate. He's not. If you listen to him, he's very, very articulate young man. If you listen to him, I'm not sure exactly where his politics lie. He sounds more center right than anything, but he's approaching this in a rational manner. He's saying, first and foremost, we need to protect kids. We need to harden the target, and then once we do all of that, then we can talk about gun control. And that's what a lot of us on the right are saying, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people on the right are not discounting that we may need to have a conversation on gun control. Personally, I don't think we need more gun control. I think we need better enforcement of the laws that we have. But there is a space for debate there. But first, what we need to do is we need to protect schools. And people like Kyle Kashuv, how often has he been on CNN? Not very. Nowhere near as much as David Hogg and all the rest. He's been on Fox News before a couple of times. He met with the president. He met with the first lady. But by and large, the left-wing media, they haven't touched him at all because he's not selling the narrative. And that's the point of the March for Our Lives event, ladies and gentlemen. It's selling a narrative. It's making gun control palatable. It's demonizing the people who are against gun control, or the people who want to, like Kyle Kashuv and like a lot of us on the right, demonizing the people who want to make sure schools are safe before we talk about something else. Those voices are being drowned out or ignored by the people on the left in the media and also in the political activism realm. And we cannot... It's pointless to have any sort of national conversation, ladies and gentlemen, when one side refuses to hear the other side, when they refuse to come to the table, when they refuse to sit down and actually have a discussion. No, the March for Our Lives event, it's not about school safety. It's not about protecting kids. It's not about valuing students' lives. The left doesn't give a crap about any of these students, about any kids, anywhere. All this is an effort to sell the gun control narrative, to make it palatable for Americans so that Americans will welcome the left when they come to take your guns. That is the goal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to borrow a line from Rush Limbaugh. I'm going to say, do not doubt me on this. Do not doubt me. This is the ultimate goal, is a complete gun ban, gun confiscation nationwide. And this event is set up to help sell that. We have to resist that. You need to talk to your representatives, talk to your senators, let them know that we need to have an actual discussion on guns and gun safety. We need to listen to both sides, and that is the only way that we will ever fix this mess, and that's the only way we will ever save any lives. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening, and as always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Both of those things help me out. Share this channel around, let's help it grow, and I will see you all next time.